Welcome back, everyone, to the FloTrack podcast, and happy Friday. I am Kevin Sully. He is Gordon Mack. Got a whole bunch of races to preview, Gordon. This is our last podcast before we hit the road, too. We're going to be on location. No, that's not the right word. We're going to be not in Austin, Texas next week when we do the pod, and I'm excited about it. I'm excited to get out of this booth and head out to North Carolina. But how are you doing this Friday morning?
Oh, I am doing wonderful. I did absolutely no work yesterday. Unfortunately, I feel
I
bad
know.
for my employer because I was not a good employee. I was busy on the phone and on the computer, and I haven't gotten a lot of sleep because I probably listened to a year's worth of podcasts in 12 hours. But I'm ready to talk about track again. My brain was all in basketball mode. For those who don't know, I'm a big Philadelphia 76ers fan, and today is the start of a new era. So I'm very happy that James Harden is now a Sixer. But this is not a Sixers podcast. This is a track podcast. But I'm in a good
Mm-hmm.
mood. I just want to say that out loud. Anyway,
Well, I'm happy that you're happy. Speaking of basketball, can you send your dunk video over to Colt so he has that queued up and ready for the end of the show? I don't want to forget that because I know the listeners, they need a little treat on Friday and they want to see your first dunk attempt because it is your New Year's resolution for 2022. And while you do that, I'll just mention that this podcast is brought to you by Hoka. Hoka has just introduced the most advanced spike shoe yet. You can see it in the shot, the Cielo X. Spikes are powered by the propulsion of carbon. They got two versions here, the Cielo MD for the mid-distance runners out there, and the Cielo LD for long distance. You can go to Hoka.com today. Hoka faster forward. Again, the website is Hoka.com. I have these orange ones in front of me, the LDs. You can see them right here. Got the P-backs, got the carbon plate in there as well. Gordon, show off those MDs for us, please.
boom! Look, check him out. Boom, boom, boom.
There it is. There it is. There it is. Once again, the website, Hoka.com. Check that out. Did you send the video over, Gordon?
I reluctantly did.
Okay, good. Good.
Hopefully,
Colt,
we
get
won't show
ready.
it to the end of the podcast, though. We won't show it till the end of the
Yeah, Colt,
podcast.
Colt, you're going to need to mute your mic when you play it for yourself because there might be some giggles on your end, but that's okay. All right. You're going to watch it with everybody else? Good.
I
All
sent
right.
I sent
So,
I sent three versions. We'll talk about it later in the pod. But yeah,
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah. We got too much to get to we got to save that for the G block at the end or the H block. I don't even know what that would be. So I want to run through real quick the meets. They're going to be live on FloTrack this weekend. Then we're going to talk about Justin Gatlin retiring. We're talking about Cooper Tier, Cole Hawker going for the American record of the mile. Coleman versus Boling, the race that you didn't know was happening but are very happy that it is. We'll talk about all the other meets as well. But we got BU Valentine, Don Kirby. We have the Continental Tour in Metz, and then we have the Iowa State Classic this weekend. That's a big lineup, Gordon.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good, especially that BU Valentine. On the distance side, we have from the mile to the 5K, we could see incredible performances on both the men's and women's side. Kirby is gonna bring in some quick sprints because for some reason people love running fast in Albuquerque, and
Mm-hmm.
Iowa
Mm-hmm.
State is always a solid meet. So, actually,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to bring something up. Travis, we angered the track and field community yesterday or 2 days ago. Are you aware of this?
I'm not.
There's
What
like
happened?
a there's like an uprising in the track community because of a tweet that FloTrack did. So I'm going to show
What
you the
happened?
tweet. I'm going to show you the tweet, and Kevin, I want you to react to this tweet. What is wrong with this tweet? So put it up on the screen, Colt. Benjamin Azamati upsets a D1 field to run a new D2 national record, 6:54, and it's the race. Do you see anything wrong with that tweet? I'm asking you,
Is
Kevin.
it okay? So let me look at this again. Benjamin Azamati upsets a D1 field to run a new D2. I mean, is it because it's not a D1 field since he was in it? It makes it a mixed D1 D2 field. Is it something as specific as that?
No, it's the word upset. People did not like us using the word upset
Okay.
in the same sentence with Azamati because apparently, Azamati is the next coming of Usain Bolt, and no one has ever challenged Azamati. He's the greatest runner that's ever run. Yeah, he's only run 999 or nine. What's it? He run 997. Um, but yeah,
Okay.
apparently
Well, was he the
he's supposed
favorite
to
or
win every
not? Was
race.
he the favorite or
He's
not?
uh, yeah, he probably was the favorite here because he had like a low 6.6 PB, but you know we used the word upset and everyone got upset. They got upset over the word upset, and it was crazy. People
All right.
think that we don't do our research. There's a lot of angry coaches out there. There's a lot of people who
Okay.
think we're disrespecting the D2 world. I'm a D3 guy.
Mhm.
I love the D2 world. I love the D1 world. I love all your worlds. But guys, it's just a word. It's just the word upset. All right, upsets happen. You know what? Like Justin Gatlin, who is probably going to go down as one of the greatest sprinters of all time. Sometimes when he wins a race, it's an upset. You can be good and still be an upset. Like just because you're called an upset
Mhm.
doesn't mean you're not fast. And yeah, the track and field community wasn't too happy.
All right. Well, hold on. A couple things here. If he was the favorite, though, by definition, it can't be an upset. So if you're saying he was the favorite, then I think that they have a, a point. However, the word upset has taken on a really weird understand a couple years ago. I remember, I forgot who it was. It was a distance runner who clearly wasn't favored, won a race, and then was upset by the word upset as if it meant disrespect. And I'm saying, no, no, no. It means your performance was more remarkable because you weren't expected to win and you outclassed all these other people who came in with better personal bests or better resumes than you. So I missed the memo when upset became a bad word. However, if he was the top seed, then he can't be considered the underdog and can't be performing an upset. But hey, now you know. Azamati, 654. He'll be the favorite in pretty much every race he runs in the rest of the season, I would guess.
Yeah. Uh, but like, guys, it's just a word. It's just a tweet. It's not like
I
I don't know
missed
what the
this
word is.
controversy, so I'm kind of glad.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad I just found
But
out
here's the
about it
thing:
now, and then now I can move on from it.
the coaches who got really
Hold on,
upset
trap.
about it, about the coaches who got upset about the word upset, um, they also no. So first of all, there were some athletes in that race who didn't make the final that were, I think, have a faster seed time. I think one of the TCU athletes has run faster. I could be wrong though, or at least very equal. I
Okay.
mean, Azamati, I mean, 654 is his new PB, so it's not like he was like a 648, a 650 type guy. But regardless, Azamati's good. He made the Olympics. Like no one is arguing with that.
Let's go out to
But
West
I just want
Texas
to,
A&M. Let's go
yeah,
out to
I
West
do want
Texas
to.
and rectify this.
We need to go to West Texas A&M. I do want to say though, I'm appreciative of the coaches getting upset because this video now has 30,000 views on Twitter. So if he didn't get upset, maybe it would only have 1,000 views. So thank you for 10xing the view count by being upset over the word upset. I'm the reality is we're
All
actually
right.
happy you're upset. So that's all I got to say about that.
I want everybody to get along. That's my position. All right. Justin Gatlin announced his retirement, Gordon, on his 40th birthday yesterday, released a video on Instagram with an extended statement. And whether you like Justin Gatlin, whether you didn't like Justin Gatlin, you can't deny he's an enormous figure in the sport. He spanned two generations. His gold medal in 2004 at the Olympics was pre when most people outside of Jamaica had heard about Usain Bolt. And then his career extended past Bolt's. That's how long it lasted. I mean, you have a gold in 2004 and then you have a gold in 2017 is pretty remarkable that amount of time between two gold medals. Obviously, he's going to remember for the doping ban as well. And I remember when he came back from that 4-year ban in 2010, he's running in Estonia, running 10 twos, 10 threes. You're thinking, all right, he doesn't have it anymore. That was it. He's going to do this for another season. And then that'll be the legacy of his career. But it only took another year. It only took till 2011 when he makes the world team in Daegu and came back. And then I remember having a similar sentiment about him, Gordon, in 2015. Do you remember the 2015 season? He was on fire. He was, I'll use the word again, the favorite, actually. And I remember getting a lot of crap at the time from people like, how can you pick against Bolt? And I said, look at the 2015 season. Everything was pointing towards Justin Gatlin winning, and he did not win. Bolt got him, and he got
Bolt
him in the
upset him.
200.
He upset
Bolt
him.
upset him, and I thought it was a legitimate upset because if you actually watched that season and paid attention and didn't just base your entire opinion on what happened in 2013, in 2012 and 2011, 2009 and 2008, you would think, hey, Gatlin is the favorite. And I thought that would be the end of it for Gatlin. And yet he comes back in 2017 and then finally does pull off the victory over Bolt. Then you go to 2019, gets a silver medal too, which was then 15 years after that '04 gold medal. So just around for a while, a huge figure in the sport, eighth in the trials last year. He never really was clear about because he would get asked about retirement all the time, and guess it makes sense he decided to hang it up, announce that he was hanging it up on his 40th birthday.
Yeah. Again, incredible career, but obviously controversial career because of the doping
Hmm.
ban. Um, but I do think he was well respected in the sport, like among the other athletes. You talk to a lot of like the
Hmm.
younger athletes, or they're not really younger anymore, they're in their prime, but they all kind of looked up
Yeah.
to Justin. You know, I remember interviewing Trayvon Bromell as a freshman at Baylor, and he would like really, he looked up to what Gatlin had done for US sprinting. You know, obviously
Hmm.
Coleman coming from the same college, Tennessee,
Yep.
as Gatlin. You could just tell that there was a high level of respect from this new generation of sprinters for what Gatlin did in the late 2000s or mid 2010s. Um,
Hmm.
so you may love him or hate him. He had an impact. He had incredible longevity for sprinting, which
Hmm.
typically doesn't happen, right? You don't
Yeah.
really see 15-year span between two medals in a sprinting event. You might see that more in distance where Kipchoge can win a 1500 and then go on and win a marathon, but not so much in the
Yeah.
sprints. Uh, but yeah, he's going to go down as one of the greatest U.S. sprinters of all time. And yeah, people will put an asterisk on it, but whatever. You know, Barry Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, in my opinion, right? And people can pretend that Barry Bonds didn't hit 70 home runs in a season, but I saw it happen. I saw Justin Gatlin do what he did. I saw him win in 2017. I saw him have a great 2015 season, and obviously whole longevity. Um, so he's going to go down as he's always going to be remembered, and that's going to be his legacy.
You look at the comments on Instagram too. You talk about the people who came after him, even his contemporaries there. So are heaping praise on him and thanking him for his career. Now, again, there's the other side to that, obviously, and you don't need to ask too many athletes. Like there, people aren't shy about giving their opinion one way or the other on Gatlin, either pro or con. I think there was a sentiment out there that hey, he sat out for 4 years, did the time for his ban, and then came back. Um, I always thought it was interesting because there was not really a rivalry with Bolt, but a little bit of a back and forth there. But then Bolt like basically put his arm around Gatlin after that last major championship and said to them like to everybody like, hey, like I'm not criticizing this guy. Like he won fair and square. Let's move on because remember there was that really tortured time in it was around 15 and 16 about how Usain Bolt needed to win to preserve the integrity of the sport, which was obviously a completely oversimplification of everything that was going on at the time. But there was a fair amount of people who believed in that, and there was all that animus towards Gatlin. Remember the beer bottle that was thrown at him during the Olympics? I mean, there was a lot of vitriol directed towards him. But I always thought it was interesting that Bolt could have basically said, "Yeah, this isn't fair. Every loss I have to this guy doesn't count." but he went the other direction. He didn't really lose to him that many times either. But in that opportunity, he basically said, "Hey, like, no, I support Gatlin. He won this race. Let's move forward." And I just thought that was noteworthy. Also, one last thing: if 2020 doesn't get canceled, there's a good chance he gets another medal because he was coming
Yeah,
off a silver, and then if Coleman is suspended, like there's a good chance. It's just it seems like between 19 and 21, that's when Father Time really caught up to him, and he couldn't get out of the trials, but made that trials final, which is no small feat. At the age of 39 years old and 15 years after winning your for at that point, I guess it would have been 17 years after winning your first global gold.
yeah. I think my the number one memory I'm gonna have of Gatlin, like the lasting image I actually are gonna have of him of his whole career. Obviously, a lot of people don't like him, and clearly a lot of people do love him because again, if you look at his Instagram, there are a lot of high level sprinting US stars who are all putting the goat emoji, calling him a legend, thanking him for everything. That's not by
Yeah,
accident. But
yeah.
the one moment I'm going to remember most was in the moment of his like victory in 2017. He spent more time like giving respect to Usain Bolt than he did like taking the mantle himself. Like his
Mhm,
first
mhm.
reaction to beating Usain Bolt was like to bow
And he bowed
down to
out to
him.
him? Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
can you imagine like um what's like an example? Like who, maybe like LeBron James beating Kevin Durant in an NBA final, or
Mhm.
Kevin Durant beating LeBron James in an NBA final, and Kevin Durant's
Yeah,
first reaction is like much respect to LeBron James. He deserves all
yeah.
the respect. No, they wouldn't. They would be very into their own accomplishment, rightfully so, because it's competition. You're supposed to be happy when you win, but you could tell
Yeah,
that it's always been on his mind. He understands where he stands in the sport, and I think
yeah.
that's something that not a lot of people do. Right? Not a lot of people are gonna take a
That's
moment away
that
from
photo, man.
themselves for. Well, yeah, look at that, man.
Yeah,
This
that photo.
looks like Bolt is like knighting him. Like
I think
if he had a sword in his hand, it
I
looked like a
remember.
knight.
Yeah, I remember there was a quote at some point during that time between, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe up through 17, where he said, Gatlin's like, "I'll be Batman, like I'll be the Dark Knight, whatever." But I think most people don't actually want to be that. I think most people want to be liked. And I think Gatlin wanted to be liked. And I don't think he was comfortable with being the villain. And that speaks to most people's innate human desire to be liked. We always zero in sports on the people, whether it's football players or boxers or UFC people who play the heel, right? And they really, really get into that. But I think those people are rare, especially when you get outside of combat sports where it's like you're seeing people every single week on the circuit, right? You're appearing before all these fans. Like you want to be liked, you want to be appreciated. And I think that's what we saw more towards the end of his career. Now, did that mean that like anytime anybody in the media was going to interact with him, it was going to be like this positive interaction? He's like, I'm going to tell you about my whole history and this is what I did wrong. No, there was definitely some prickly interactions, but I think in general, he wanted to be liked because I think most people wanted to be liked. So I don't think he wanted to have any feud with Usain Bolt, and that's why he did what he did there. I think he understood how great Bolt was, and I think he had some self-awareness too of that moment of, man, I just beat the beloved character and people's feelings of me are mixed at best. Anyway,
Yeah,
crazy career.
it's like
Crazy career.
it's a yeah crazy career and memorable, and that's all it's gonna be. It's gonna be memorable.
Yeah.
That's the end of the day. You can't erase the memories. So
Mhm.
hey, man,
Yeah.
you can
Well, I think the one.
if you want to go the next 50 years of your life angry that Justin Gatlin got to continue running after a 4-year ban, uh, have fun with that.
Yeah.
Maybe just
Well,
go outside, man, and live a little.
Well, my thing at the time when he came back, and then it was like, all right, well, he's allowed to come back. They can't block him from meets. And then that evolved into, oh man, he's getting good now, though. He's going to start making teams and then he's going to win medals. And then, hey, he's a candidate for athlete of the year. How long can you go pretending he doesn't exist? Because when you let him back in, if they're allowed to compete, you have to consider them for all the awards and all the trappings that come with being a professional track and field athlete. But obviously, there was a lot of resistance to that. And there's a difference between saying, well, I'm not going to cheer for him, which is fine. If you're a fan, totally within your right, cheer for whoever you want. And, oh, he's not allowed to get this medal or he's not allowed to get these awards or, hey, you're rewarding bad behavior. I get people for having that sentiment, but from a USATF perspective, from a IAAF World Athletics perspective, it puts them in a tough spot because it's like, hey, this person is allowed to compete. We can't just pretend that in lane 3 there's nobody there or that person who won that race isn't there. So it put track in a very tricky position for many years because highest profile event, high profile figure from one of the biggest track country out there just in terms of total participation and amount of medals. And then you have to do this delicate dance around it. I think Gatlin, the great what if here would have been if when he came back in 2010 or at any point between this run, if he just said, hey, here's what happened, here's what went wrong, yeah, I apologize, blah, blah, blah. But the story, he didn't really want to get into it. The story was, the sabotage and all that other stuff. And I think for people, they had a hard time, moving past it because they wanted the full throated apology. Now, some people still would have held out. Um,
Yeah.
and then there was a lot of, and on one side, what I take Gatlin's side clearly is he was always referred to as this like he's a two-time drug cheat. But if you look at what his ban was for the first time, right? It was for a medication that was provided in college, right? Like that whole thing got like wrapped up and packaged into this big, large thing. The second one, yeah, obviously 4-year ban, but just the repeated statements about two-time drug cheat, this and that, and then even with the good versus evil and him versus Bolt, everything just got way blown out of proportion and way larger than life. And then you could see why someone would, naturally dig in their heels. But I could also see why someone's like, hey, I just don't want to. I don't want to cheer for this person. There's plenty of other people to cheer for. I'm not going to cheer for this person.
Yeah. I wanted him to win in 2015 because I think it's wrong for people to kind of use a person, in this case him, as like their vehicle for virtue signaling. And I thought it was like, what are you doing with it? Like you're not solving the problem. So turning Justin Gatlin into a villain doesn't solve drug problem in our sport. It's not like,
Mhm.
well, we can bully him out of the sport and therefore there'll never be drugs in our sport ever again. No, that's not how it
Yeah.
works. I don't think people are going to be like, they were mean to Justin Gatlin. I don't know if I'm going to ever do drugs. No, do you think someone's thinking about
Well,
that? No, they're not thinking about that at all. So it was a
the
way for you to
dumbest
feel good
thing.
about yourself by being like, I am better than Justin Gatlin because I said he did bad. Like, cool,
Well, I looked
congrats.
at it from a different perspective. The perspective I looked at it from was it's a race. If Gatlin beats him, the sun will come up tomorrow. Track will exist.
Yeah.
It's not going to end the world. Like people thought track would come to an end in 2015 if Gatlin beat Bolt. And then ironically enough, 2 years later, it actually happens. And we're still here talking about track. Track did not end. Everybody was fine. Now you can say, hey, the guy I wanted to win didn't win, or oh, hey, it sent a bad message. But hey, man, over the last 2 decades, 3 decades in track and field, there's been a lot of bad news in track and field, but it's not
Yeah.
enough to completely derail the sport. And you're right, it's not just about one guy. There's all sorts of other stuff going on. I mean, you see it with the Winter Olympics even right now with doping and to boil it down just to this one person versus this one person, and Bolt is going to single-handedly save the sport by winning this race. I just thought, hey, that's a little overwrought for me. But let's move on. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Cole Hawker, Cooper Tier, going for the American record in the mile Friday night. They're calling their shot. Gordon, I have the case for and the case against Hawker/Shear getting the American record, and we're bunching them together. These two are linked forever in their career until they start doing something separate. It's just like Hawker Tier, Tier Hawker, all together. So they ran 350 last year, pretty much at the same time of year, and now they're 1 year better. Second point, if you look at their 3K tune up that they did last year, 746. This year, 739. And they did it basically at the same time of the year. So they're trending a little quicker. So that's my reasoning for why they could break it, why they could get Legat's record. Also, third point, they don't need to improve that much, right? They were 350, they need to run 349. It's not a huge jump up in performance. However, here's why I think they could run into some trouble. How fast is that track? We don't know. We know that Fayetteville is very fast. Two, the pacing was ideal last year, and you can never take pacing for granted. And then finally, how mile shape ready are they? And this pertains more to Cooper Tier than it does to Cole Hawker, because at this point last year, when Cooper Tier ran the 350, he had several mile races under his belt. Hawker did not, but Tier was in a lot more races prior to that 350. Now, you could say, hey, none of that matters because we just saw how fast they ran at Milrose. They're ahead of schedule. So it doesn't matter. That statistic supersedes the amount of races that they've run in. But Bernard Lagat's time, 3:49:89. He's going to be in the house, he said, for this meet in Chicago. So he's going to get to see it. So I will ask you, Gordon, does one of them break it? Do both of them break it? Or does Lagat's record stand?
Well, it's either going to be both or none. I think in a situation they both will break it or neither will break it because they're going to be in the same race pace base. They're going to be executing the same race strategy, right? Because they're just together.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go with that. So it's either going to be 2 or 0. So the question, will we have a new top 2? And I'm going to have to go with I'm going with a no. And I'm going purely
Mm.
based off of the unknown of the track. I think we kind of underestimate the how
Yeah.
much a track helps, especially on indoor. A track helps for fast times. We
Yeah.
know that Fayetteville's good. Obviously, BU Milrose is typically good. Um, I'm kind of worried about that, and so I'm going to go with they don't get it. I think they're going to be close, but I think they just maybe they might run another 350, maybe a 351. But I do think if they want to, they do that, and then 2 weeks later they go to BU, and then they run like 348. Like I think this is going to be attempt 1 of 2. I think they get in attempt 2, just not in attempt 1.
Interesting. All right.
So I'm
I
going with a
thought,
3. I'm going 350 in this race, and then they run 348 2 weeks from now.
okay. Well, that would follow the pattern from Tier last year because he ran, he had a 355. I think he might have, and we had some DMRs as well too. He had a good amount of races in. I thought for sure you were going to say yes, and then I was going to be the guy who said, "Hey, let's hold on now. Let's check out the track. Let's
Actually,
make sure."
hold
Uh
on.
oh.
I might be changing my mind. So it turns out USA's is 2 weeks from now. So this is probably their only attempt. So I'm changing my mind that they're going to get it. They're going to get it. They're going to get it. This is their only attempt. 349.8. That's what they're going to run. Changing
Yeah.
my mind.
Interesting. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Near miss for the reasons I outlined. And again, all it takes is a slight error in the pacing for this thing to go haywire. Here's the other reason why they, I is it an advantage or disadvantage to have the other person there? Do you think?
Advantage.
All right. Well, some people would say you get wrapped up in the race at a certain point, but these guys have run so much together. Maybe that's not the point.
I think it's advantage.
Travis just says that in a this is great. In an interview after Milrose, Hawker said they hadn't done speed work yet. So still waiting on that
No one
speed
ever does
work.
speed work. That's like the
No,
classic. Yeah, we get to do speed work. No one, everyone keeps
mm,
on saying speed work hasn't happened yet. You don't do speed work until basically after your final.
season's over.
Like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Still haven't
Gatlin.
done speed work yet. Still working on it. Gatlin hasn't done his speed work yet. He's still waiting
Well, he,
to do his speed work.
well, he's going to retire now that he's retired. He can finally do speed work.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
that's what he should have
Exactly.
added at the end of the Instagram post. He should have said, "With that being said, I'm prepared to finally start doing some speed work." I'm saying, yeah, I'll go over on the world record or on the American record over 350.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay, Coleman v Boling. We're getting that this weekend too. I thought, hey, they're in the same meet, but are they going to be in the same event? Yep, they are. Are they going to be in the same heat? Yep, they are. Heat one out in Clemson with Micaiah Harris and Javante Harding, two really good runners as well too. What do you think about this, Gordon? Who do you think is the favorite? Since we're talking favorites and upsets here, who's the favorite?
The favorite's bowling. It has to be
Really?
because there's no way Coleman is 200-meter indoor ready the way bowling is. I'll be surprised if Coleman wins, to be honest. It's just like pros and indoor 200s just do not go well together. And I especially a pro who hasn't raced in a year and a half, 2 years.
Mhm.
Obviously, Coleman has put together a fast 200 indoor, but that was like half a decade ago. So
Yeah.
I think Bolin is more ready for an indoor 200 than Coleman is. So I'll go with Boling over Coleman.
Let's contrast the two 200s that have been run the last 2 weeks by pros who are 100-meter threats. Bromell doing it in the New Balance Indoor Grand Prix, where he's running against a field that we could say wasn't sharp, right? Like the stakes were lower for Bromell. Coleman is going into the Lions Den here, I think, which is kind of funny when you think about it because he's going against collegians. But I'm sure if you look up Coleman's history, when Coleman was a collegian, he probably had some big wins over pros indoors in the 200 because that's who turns out these fast times. So I think Coleman will go. I think Coleman feels confident because I just don't think when you're at that level, you sign up to get beat badly in races. So I think he's going to be ready. I'm going to take Coleman in this one.
All right, we'll find out.
Yeah. The start is going to be sensational for Coleman. Predicting that. Just got to keep it going for 140 more meters. But I'll take Coleman. It'll be fun. That last stretch will be crazy. You writing that one down?
Yep. Writing it down.
All right. What else we got here?
Oh, we
Other
had some
we talked about hold
some
on
fun
real
news
quick.
happen.
I wanted
What?
Yeah, I just want to pull the BU stuff. Those are tonight. So we talked about that last pod. So if you're like, hey, BU 5Ks, we did a full analysis of the men's and women's 5Ks at BU, predicted the top finishers, predicted the finishing time. I said sub 1450 for the women, which might be conservative now based on how people are talking about this women's five and the men's five too. I think it's all systems go. To borrow your phrase, I don't think you go all the way up to BU just to go through the motions. I think people are going to take advantage of it. So we could see something really special on both the men's and women's 5,000.
Yeah, and I feel stupid because I thought Woody Kincaid had the 5K standard, but he doesn't. So I
You
purposely
should
thought
feel
Kincaid
stupid.
was going to be rabbiting. So my picks are probably going to be wrong, but it's okay because only
Ooh,
Grant
that
Fisher
gives
and Paul Chelimo have the 5K standard for U.S. men.
gotcha. All right. All right. Some other stories here. We get an excuse to talk about the NBA here, but there's a track angle. Gianmarco Tamberi, high jump Olympic champion, is entered into the NBA All Star Game celebrity game. This is incredible. There's a video that he posted on Instagram. He looks like he's pretty good. Now, I don't know how it came about that he would be in this game. He's wearing a Rockets jersey at the end. The Rockets might actually sign him because they need help. The Rockets might actually be watching this and thinking, "Hey, is there any availability?" He is on a Is he on the Coach Dominique Wilkins or Coach Bill Walton team? He's on with Dominique Wilkins.
Wilkins.
Here's how I think here's how I think this process went, Gordon. Whoever's in charge of selecting the celebrities are sitting in a room. They're like, "Hey, let's get athletes from other sports." Someone's like, "Great idea. All right, let's run through them." They went through all the sports. Like, all right, track. Like, how about Bolt? Like, no, he's retired. Are you sure? Yeah. They had to look it up. They found out Bolt was retired. Can't do him. All right. You know what? There's a lot of jumping in basketball. Who's like the best jump guy? They looked it up.
Jump guy.
Then,
The best
then they
jump
went.
guy.
They found out there were multiple jump guys. Do we want long? Do we want triple? Do you want high? And they're like, well, let's do high jump basketball. Then they looked up, well, who's the best guy? So they went to the Olympics last year. Then they got really confused because it was a tie. They talked about that in the room for a while and had to figure out, all right, do we do the Tamberi guy? Do we do the Barshim guy? Maybe they inquired on both, figured out who had the more affordable rate. Maybe they liked Tamberi's half beard. Maybe they just saw Tamberi hit these jump shots that he's doing on Instagram and they gave him a call. The one thing I'm worried about, Gordon, is track athletes and celebrity games and injuries, especially Tamberi. Now, Tamberi had a really gruesome injury a few years ago, but that was during the high jump competition. So I just want him to be careful. But he looks like he can shoot based on this video, and we know that he can jump. And I want to see at least one ridiculous dunk from him.
Yeah, I'm surprised the promo video that he put on his Instagram is of him shooting like a jump shot and not him dunking. I want to see a high jumper dunk, right?
Yeah.
Don't you? That's isn't that what you want to see?
Also, his caption, one of his captions, oh no, not his caption. It was someone else's caption is Cleveland, this is for you. Because the All-Star game's in Cleveland. Hey, does he have any idea where Cleveland is? Do you think he thinks it's in LA and New York? He's like, "Oh, cool.
Nah, come
I
on.
get a trip." No? All right.
Not every non-American is like unaware of all of America. Like that's like a trope of like non-Americans only know where New York City is. They never heard of like the middle of
Well, how
America.
many cities can you name in Italy?
Well, here's the thing. I also if I could just also just type in the city. I'm sure he typed it in to Google and was like, "Okay, this is where it is in the
I
country."
I know, but probably people assume though, "Hey, All-Star game, it's gonna be in one of, like, the 5 biggest cities in your country."
That's true.
I
That's
don't know if
true.
they think, "Hey, this thing rotates around." Not to say he won't enjoy Cleveland. Uh, I've flown into the Cleveland airport before, but I just
I've been to Cleveland, man. It
DeGrasse
is oof.
DeGrasse, you're gonna channel your Joakim Noah here in a second. DeGrasse played in this. Bolt obviously played in this, but I think Tamberi. I just I don't want to fall in love with one Instagram highlight here, but the release point is pretty good. The only thing that worries me is the Rockets jersey.
Yeah. Well, I like it's Harden. It's number, so that's good now. Got the old school. It's kind of funny. He's putting on like a James Harden 13 jersey with his name on it. Like he hasn't been on the team for a while, and he's still like rocking it. He's like, nah, it's still, he's on team number 2, but it's still relevant. Anyway, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah. Owen in the chat. Christian Coleman is also racing the 60 at the same meet in Clemson, and Marcel Jacobs is racing in Poland tonight too. Yeah, this weekend's gonna be great. This weekend is great all over the place. I mean, are you more interested in Coleman's 60 or his 200?
The 200 because it's going up against Bowling. I mean, he's going to win the 60 easily. He might scratch one of them, I would guess, unless he does both. I'm sure he's looking at it as a
Please don't scratch
training
the 200.
session, so
Don't
might
scratch the
scratch it
200.
too. I don't know. I don't know what he'll do,
Mm.
but he's
All
the best
right.
60-meter runner
Uh,
in the country in the world. So I'm not really looking forward to him racing a bunch of college kids. But
yeah.
200, you might see something interesting. So
Uh, People are wondering where Terrence Laird is. I'm not sure. On the game says no one. They forgot no one after Gay like they did with Gatlin because of the contrition he showed. Well, that could be part of it. Also, Gatlin was better. Gay didn't get back right into it after his ban and start like winning gold medals too. But anyway, um, we'll move on. Other story here. Oh, Molly Seidel posted this on Instagram. Can we throw that up there? Captions: When your Bumble match challenges you to a race, and it's a screenshot of a conversation on the dating app Bumble where the person asks, "What do you do for work?" She responds, "I'm a pro marathon runner." The person responds, "So you think you could beat me in a race?" Winky face emoji. Then her response, "I sure effing hope so."
I mean, I look at this. He was trying to flirt. He was trying to be like, I think he was trying to like compliment her, like be fun, like challenge her. Clearly, I think this guy knows he can't beat her in a race. I think she took it the wrong way. I don't think she recognized that that was a winky face, that he was making a joke. Because then she
Well,
kind of was like,
she's making a joke too. I sure hope so. Like that's
but
a
then she's
joke.
saying unmatched, lose my number. She's upset with the joke. She didn't respond after
Yeah,
that. She didn't.
this has got to be. I can't imagine how many times this question is proposed to professional athletes. Sprints, distance, it doesn't matter. It's got to get to be pretty annoying, like the first time, because like, yeah, you think it's funny, but then I'm
That's
sure
true.
all the time, not just online, but I bet in real life too, this gets thrown around all the time. And I'm
Good
sure
point.
pro
It's
athletes,
like, sorry, continue.
no, I was just say pro athletes in any sport, it happens, but I think it probably happens more in running just because fewer people uh, recognize them. And everybody is like, well, I can run. You can beat me. And then there are all obviously also all these dudes who think that they could like run faster than the world record time than the women when they couldn't get even close. So I bet it gets really old really quickly.
That's true. But for this guy who was trying to flirt with Molly, for him, it was the first time he had a conversation with a runner, maybe. And so for him, it was like a fun joke that he thought, it's like, when you go for a run and someone screams, run, Forrest, run. And you're like, I've heard that
Yeah.
one before. But for that
Aren't you over
person, it
that?
was the first time they screamed it. I don't know. I think it would have been more funny
Yeah.
if the
Okay. But then
response,
what if that person then comes up to you and says, do you want to go on a date with me? What would you say?
that's true. Mm.
You-
But also, what I think would be funnier if he responded like, "What's your mile time?" Because that's what everyone gets asked whenever they say I run,
yeah.
and then ask you what
Yeah.
your mile
Yeah.
time is. It's like, well, I'm not
Mile
a
time.
miler.
Yeah.
Stop asking me mile time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, yeah, he responds back with like a pacing chart or whatever. Like, all right, so that equates to what on the War Athletics conversion tables? I like that I sure effing hope so response. I think it's pretty funny because it's like sort of self deprecating to her too. Of like, well, I better be able to. I'm faster than 99% of the population. So this random person, assuming this person is random and wasn't like, I don't know how much information you get on these things about who the person is beforehand, but assuming they didn't know much about running, I just think it's like a corny line, and it seems funny to like this person, but to the
I don't
person
know.
that
I'm
is
sympathetic.
receiving it,
He's
it's just
trying. See, see. Here's the thing. You got to
it's
think
not
about his
good. It's not a
intention.
good line. It's not a
But
good line.
his intention wasn't to be repetitive. His intention wasn't to be mean. His intention was to try to give her a smile. Now clearly it didn't work, but
Yeah,
you can at least
didn't work.
recognize that he was trying to make her smile. He wasn't trying to annoy her. And so clearly he failed, but like his intent wasn't a failure.
Yeah,
It's like when someone tells a
yeah,
bad joke, they're not trying to
yeah. It's a
offend you;
bad
they're trying
joke.
to make you laugh. So like,
Yeah,
you can't like hold it like, how dare you offend me? It's like, well, the person was actually trying to entertain you. He was trying to entertain her. It didn't work,
yeah. It didn't work.
but
Didn't work. Move
maybe
on.
he could be like, oops, like maybe not a rate. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't
And
know what
I
comes
guess
next.
flirting on text messages with strangers is hard anyway. So no matter what, it's going to be a
Yeah.
challenge.
Well, there is a point of just like, hey, and I get like he's trying to make a joke and she's making a joke here too, but it's like, hey, this is your profession. Do you think I could be better at it than you? Like it comes across as like a little strange, I think, especially because it's a
Yeah.
man women dynamic here. I think so,
Yeah. I
which makes it
think
weird.
also, there's something interesting about someone's profession being a sport, right? That,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
obviously you wouldn't say that like I'm a doctor. Oh, you think I could do better heart surgery than you? No one would
yeah.
ever say that because being a
Do you think I
doctor
could do a
is
legal
not a
brief better
part
than
of
you?
being a doctor is not part of regular society. But sports are part of regular society. So when someone's full-time job is something that everyone does as a hobby,
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah.
it
I
feels
just
like you can be a part of their job.
I'm just saying this goes pretty much one way because I doubt if it was the other way around and they were messaging a guy and it's like, I'm a pro marathon runner. I don't think the woman would say, so do you think you beat me in a race? You know? I think that so like they hear this all the time is what I'm guessing. Just as you're saying the run Forest run thing somehow has never died off in how old's that movie? Like 25 years ago? And like it's still being yelled at people. I think that so you can beat me in a race. I bet I bet every sport gets this. Tennis, basketball, doesn't matter. Like once they find out what you do, I bet people think that that's like a clever way to be like start a conversation. But I'm
I
assuming
also
it's
think
annoying.
about this like he asked clearly he didn't know who Molly was because he asked what she did for work. Because and
Yeah.
I mean he could have easily Googled her name and clearly he would have seen like, oh, this is an Olympian.
Mhm.
But when he got the information I'm a pro marathon runner, he could have. Do you think he was thinking about, oh, I should recognize I'm texting an Olympian, an Olympic
Well,
medalist?
okay, and that's the thing too. There's a pro marathon. A lot of people can claim they're a pro marathon runner. She's a freaking bronze medalist from the Olympics. Like she could.
Oh, it's only
Oh,
first name. A
Colt.
photo.
Can the audience
Yeah.
Colt, can the audience hear you?
They can now. It's only first name on
Okay.
Bumble, so potentially he didn't know who she was at all. Just
See,
Molly.
But any
there you
Molly.
go. Yeah. Any Molly. So he had no idea, I guess, with the photo, but that's a lot of work. Like, you don't assume, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't been on this app. It sounds like Colt has. Colt, do you assume you're corresponding with an Olympic athlete when you're on these apps?
I have never corresponded with an
Okay.
Olympic athlete on Bumble.
Gotcha. Okay. So, yeah, person probably sees pro marathon runner. They have no concept of how fast that is. But yeah, she could have been like, I'm the bronze. Yeah, she could have totally done a power move here. And just
Yeah,
instead of, "So you think you could beat me in a race," she sends a picture back of, like, the Olympic podium, and it's like, "Are you one of these 2 people?"
also I kind of respect that she called herself a pro marathon runner and not like I'm a Olympian runner or like I'm an
Yeah.
Olympian type thing. Like she didn't take
Maybe she didn't
the
wanna give away too much info.
yeah, she's like I pretend I'm just a regular runner who's I'm just a professional runner. I'm not
Mhm.
what potentially going to become the greatest American of all time.
Yeah.
We'll say that for the
Yeah.
third date. I'll let you know that
Yeah.
you know 6 years from now
Just
you're going to be on a lot of like if this thing goes well, you're going to be in a lot
yeah.
of photos at race endings at the Boston and Chicago and all these marathons hugging me after I
Yeah.
win. Like he was in for a world of like fame if this thing went well because she's going to go
Just
on
send,
to
like, a
like
goat emoji.
win a bunch of big races.
Alright, last question for Cole. You don't have to answer this, Cole, if you don't want to, but, like, have you ever found out that someone you're messaging with was famous in any field?
Ooh. Uh Not really. I mean, like public figures, I guess. There's been like this person was on a radio show and like just at that point, but no one like actually famous.
Okay. Did that change how you interacted with them on the
No.
chat?
I'm on a radio show, Kevin.
No, but I'm saying, like, did you, like, look up information about
No,
them, or did you
that's
find it out
creepy.
afterwards?
Unless they
Don't
like
do that. Okay.
link to social accounts, like I think that's probably something you probably shouldn't do. But that's just
Do
me.
you find that most people downplay their occupation, or do they when they're famous, or do they talk it up?
Oh, I won't say I have had a lot of famous encounters on dating sites, but
When you were
usually,
messaging Scarlett Johansson, what
yeah,
was like, did she describe herself?
she was really
I don't
chill
know what.
about it. Actually, yeah, she kind
Okay.
of didn't bring it up.
She said, lose my number.
Yeah.
Unmatched. All right. What's left here, Gordon? Oh, the Lilac Grand Prix. We get to see Donovan Brazier race this weekend. This is Friday night as well. He's running 600 against Isaiah Harris. You got Josh Kerr in an 8 against Craig Engels, Drew Windle. Women's 15, Jessica Hull, Danny Jones, Corey McGee. Men's 15, Brandon Kidder, Luis Grijalva. And then Win Yorks and Charlie Hunter. There's also going to be a DMR record attempt going down here, Gordon, from the Union Athletics Club women, featuring Raven Rogers on the quarter, according to John Galt, who talked to Pete Julian. So that's at that new facility in Spokane where USA's will be held.
Yeah, should be exciting. I don't know. Not much to add to the. We got a couple races. I don't know. I mean, the race is happening today. By the time someone listens to this podcast later today, the race will already happen. So I don't have much to add to it. Sorry.
Top level, top level analysis there, Gordon. I mean, Brazier, what do you think he could run in a 6? Do you think he can match what he's done?
I mean,
He's got the record. Got the record.
I think the question I have for Brazier is like, what is his intention in this race? Is this like we saw him do like a jog of 400 at Milrose?
He didn't jog.
He
Jog.
didn't jog, but you know, it's not 142 800-meter running Donovan Brazier. It's he's running 47 seconds. So I don't know. I just don't know what the shape that Donovan's in. Like I'm kind of just waiting for Donovan to get to his 2019 self, and I have a feeling that's not
Yeah.
going to happen for like another 4 months. So like watching Donovan race, it's kind of like, all right, we're watching glorified training sessions in a way. Like we're seeing like the cake get made in the oven and it's not there yet. We're waiting for,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I would guess May for him to start being like, I'm back. He's back now,
He
but he's going to be back in like 3 months.
he's just always been so good indoors.
Yeah.
That's why I bring it up. So I don't want to say, oh, this is just a one-off race. I mean, he's run 113 um to set the world lead or world record. World record. We're calling it world record.
You'll
All right.
check this
But
out though.
any
There's a
I'm checking.
there's a prize purse, right? And people are
Yeah.
donating money to the prize purse. There are 4 athletes in this race.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope, I don't know if it's true, but is there a chance that Mark Wazorek is a pacer? He probably isn't, but if he was a pacer,
Yeah.
I
Everybody
should
wins.
I should enter this race, try to
Mm-hmm.
knock out Derek Holdsworth or something in the first 50
Mm-hmm.
meters, and then I can go home with $270, pay for my airfare.
Get your
Thoughts?
flight paid for. You should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Email Pete Julian. I don't have his info. Maybe send him a message on Instagram or something like that to ask if you can get in. Men's 8 though, Kerr and Engels. You excited for that one?
I mean, it's an 800, so I don't know what they're going to run. They're going to run like 148. That's what's going to happen. I don't know. I've seen
148.
these races. Oh, I've seen. Yeah, I think Wazorek is pacing because he's in that race as well. So
Well,
Wazorek
so is
might be.
Holdsworth. Holdsworth's in both of them too.
Holds is in race too. Oh, so they're trying to
He wants the money. He
double
wants the
dip,
cash. I love it.
on the money. Yeah, double dip on
Yeah.
the money. Yeah, it's just like you've seen these races happen. It's just like you got to understand like the motivation, and when it comes to indoor track 800s, you rarely are seeing the motivation of like we're running 145 today, boys. Like we just don't see that.
I know, but
We
you've
see
seen it from Brazier.
we're going out in 53 seconds and then closing hard. That's what you see.
Yeah. All right. Let's check in on the chat. Let's see. Anybody got any questions, comments in the chat? Oh, someone said Kevin is pretty empathetic and has some decently intelligent takes on this topic. I don't know what topic, but I agree with that person. Could have been could have been my
Could have been anything.
American record in the mile discussion. Could have been about Gatlin. Could have been about Tamberi. Could have been about Seidel. We don't know. I guess I could look at the thread here. While we wait, see if there's any other questions. Are there any other? I mean, there's just so much going on this weekend, so I don't know if there's anything we left out that you have circled that you're gonna make a point to watch or check out.
Yeah, I mean, Husky Classic's gonna have some good college distance races, right? Sprinters all over the place. They're gonna be in Arkansas. They're gonna be in Clemson. They're gonna be a few at
Yeah,
Music City Challenge in Nashville. Um, this is basically the time to shine if you're a college athlete. This is like you're
yeah,
peaking, like because
mhm,
2 weeks later is conferences. If you're an SEC athlete,
yeah,
you're going to run fast. If you're not an SEC athlete, you're just going to go to run to win. And then we're all of a sudden in NCAA territory. So this is the last time to really
yeah,
put down a good top mark. Um,
mhm,
if you're ranked 16th right now going into this weekend, you're not going to be ranked 16th on Sunday because there's going to be
yeah.
like 8 new people who enter the top 16 in basically every event.
The whole college game is gonna change after this weekend, and I think in a select amount of events, I think the pros are gonna shuffle a bit. Now, it's not as if, oh, 60-meter hurdles, all of a sudden Grant Holloway is not gonna be ranked number 1. No, that's not true. But I think you're gonna see some events where some people emerge and really establish themselves because you're getting to the end of it with the men too, or sorry, with the pros because you have the Birmingham Grand Prix coming back, Leven, then you have a week off, and then USA's, and then we're on to Worlds here. And I think we're at a similar point in the season for the pros. It's like if you have it, show it. If you don't, then I'll see you outdoors, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, dunk video.
Anything
Dunk
else?
video. Let's do it.
Well,
Dunk video. I almost
God
forgot.
damn
Dang
it.
it.
I was hoping you would forget.
All right. Yeah, let's check it out. Let's check it out. All right.
So
Have
we
you
have
seen
This
the
is
video?
Gordon Matt.
we have 3 separate clips. This is the first one.
I guess show the second 2 clips first. Show the non-dunk one, the ones where I don't have a ball in my hand.
Well, I haven't watched these
Or
yet. I
just
don't know which what. But
show one of the. You only need to show 2. Show one of the last 2, and then show the dunk, the one with the ball. Show one without a ball.
okay, here's the first one.
This is
we
without a
go.
ball.
Narrate it, Gordon.
You might need to zoom out so you can people see the rim.
Hold on,
It's
let
not
me
that
zoom
good.
out.
You gotta zoom out so you can see the rim.
One
It's a
sec,
very
one
tall
sec.
rim. Full
It's
10
a very
feet.
tall rim. Yeah.
Here
Okay,
we
this
go.
again, for those who don't know, my goal is to dunk a basketball by the end of 2022. And
You
this is
get
the
rim
starting
there?
point. All right. I got rim.
You got rim, I
hit
think.
rim.
Hey,
I hit rim with my fingertip. I hit rim with my
can you
fingertip
freeze
with my
that?
hand.
Cole, can
do
you?
that.
Okay. Oh, no.
I'm almost there.
Un-
Yeah,
Can we
it's
do
not
some?
too good.
Can we do some stat analysis here to zoom in on his feet and see how far he got off the ground?
I need to get probably another 8. I need to add like 8 inches to my vertical, I think.
That
But then
seems like a lot.
also, I need to also work on my form. I wasn't good on like my bending my knees well. Again,
Hold
this
on,
was taken in January.
here's another
I'm
attempt.
gonna do another one. I'm gonna do another. Oh, this is without that.
Oh.
Okay. So all right.
The stumble at the
overtalking this.
end for me really puts it over the top.
Hey, you guys start somewhere, okay? And this is where I
Yeah.
started in January. We're gonna look back on this moment and be like, remember that time you looked like a bum on the court? Telling you, December 2022, there'll be a ball going in the hoop. That's the plan.
Did you get higher or lower than you thought?
It got lower. I mean, don't watch
Okay.
the one with the ball. Show the one with the ball. The one with the
Right.
ball is pretty bad. It's pretty
Okay.
bad.
Well, this is tough because you just kind of throw. Okay.
Oh no. No.
For those of you
Hey,
not watching, the one with the ball wasn't close.
Oh no.
Well, I mean, the ball hits the rim, I guess. Like you could
yeah,
have
the
just
ball hits the
whiffed on the
rim.
rim.
Of course.
It could have been worse, but yeah, you're basically at a point where you can graze the bottom of the rim. So you got a lot of work. There it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got work to do. I got work to do. I'm not gonna. I mean, if it was easy, if I could dunk in January, it's not a real goal. So of course it's gonna be bad. I have a whole year to fix it, and I'm still
Yeah.
on plan. I'm still on plan. I haven't given up on a day. January went.
It's good.
I was 4 for 4 in the 4 weeks of January. I'm currently 2 for 2 in the 2 weeks of February. And
Yeah.
then March, I start my jumping drills. So March, I start jumping drills. January was running.
Yeah.
February is
Yeah.
starting to
No.
lift, bike, and run. March, I'm going to start lifting, biking, running, and jumping, doing like plyometrics and stuff. That'll be in March.
This is why I wanted to show it. I wanted to put it out there so that way people can join with you in the journey and you can feel motivated. You
It's
know,
really
people
bad.
people will relate to this. All in the game says Gordon's taller than expected. Is he doing a lot of box jumps and planks? You outlined your plan. This is what you and I were talking about the other day. When someone sets a New Year's resolution, usually they go all in and you hear about this is my New Year's resolution. And then 2, 3 weeks it's going well. And then maybe month 2, they hit a rough patch. And when you have a goal, when you have a resolution that's related to sports, usually the rough patch is injury because you went too hard. And then you talk to them later in March or April or something, and they've moved on to something else. I've never heard anybody in October say, man, ugh, I finally just threw in the towel on my New Year's resolution. But it's a long year. You got 12 months to get
Yeah,
this
I
done.
got
But
12
usually
months.
people give up in the first 2 months. Like you can change a lot in 12 months. We talked about it. You can go from not running at all to running a marathon. Most people to running a marathon in 6 to 8 months. Usually some of those training plans are even shorter. Now, are they running sub 3? Not usually. No, but they're completing a marathon. So I just think, yeah, take that slow approach. You want to get this done on December 31st. You're not trying to do it on October 1st. Colt is just showing this on loop now at this point. I think we have to report
I'm
Colt for abuse. Um,
I'm
my 2
looking to show
goals.
improvement by I think I'll show improvement by April. I think the April video,
Yeah,
because I'm doing a video every month. So that was
yeah,
end of
just don't
January
get
video.
hurt.
Yeah, I think by April video, you can be like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Just don't
Like
get
I
hurt.
think
It's
by
like a
April,
long.
I should be able to. I want to be able to at least grab the rim by April. Like actually be able to not just slap it, but like put my fingers around it and grab it. That's gonna be my
Yeah,
goal by April.
you're so early in this goal. So you got to have that long-term approach, which it sounds like you do. I mean, my goals want to read 30 books. I'm on track for that. Bench 200. Like I haven't, for reasons that are outside of my control, haven't had access to the big weights, but I've just been doing some stuff because I'm just trying to same approach. Just keep it steady. Just don't go backwards. And
Yeah.
then maybe I'm starting to make my move in March and April because I know it's a long time to go. Colt, do you have a New Year's resolution?
Uh, no, I don't.
No, none for Colt. Okay.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
you're young.
Meet. His resolution is to meet an Olympian on Bumble.
That's right.
That's
Yeah,
his
that's
goal.
his,
He
that's
wants to
his
meet an
goal.
Olympian on Bumble. All right.
All right. Well,
Like,
leave it there.
subscribe. Hoka.
Anthony says, "Don't get hurt, Gordon. Don't get hurt. I need you here to poke fun at you." So there you go.
I
You're
won't. I
providing a
won't
lot
get
of
hurt.
entertainment to people. I'll make sure. And next week we'll be in North Carolina, where a lot of dunking goes down. So perhaps you'll get a little bit of motivation for that. Thanks to our
Yeah.
sponsor, Hoka. Hoka.com. Faster forward. Check out the Cielo MD and LD. We are going to be back on Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the track and field, everyone. We'll see you then.